Ooh, that coffee is hot. Good morning, Patriots. It's good to see all of you. We're back with another episode of the Bald Brad Show, where we bring you all the major news you need to know about heading into the day, heading into the office, or maybe you're just chilling at home and you wanted to hear a little bit of what's happening around the world, and not just over there in Iran, but also domestically. And we're going to break everything down for you, folks. We do this each and every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on the Bald Brad channels. We're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Rumble, obviously. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us anywhere. And if you're ever unsure about anything Bald Brad, you can go over to baldbrad.com and check out our website. We do have a store. We do have blogs. We were talking about the California gas prices hitting $8 a gallon all the way back in December of 2025. Last year, we were already calling it that gas price is going to hit $8 a gallon. We also called the B-2 bomber strike over there in Iran initially 24 hours before it happened. So if you want to be ahead of the news, if you want to know what's going on, make sure to follow us here at Bald Brad. And also you can check out our book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. It's a timely book. That's why we wrote it. Not only is it good, but also it's a book that clearly shows the ideology of the left and how it's dividing this nation, how it's destroying this nation, how it's corrupting this nation. Make sure you check it out, folks. And lastly, good morning. Hopefully you had a lovely weekend. I went and saw some otters this weekend. Yeah, I drove a really long ways to go see a bunch of otters, which was really, really fun. It's actually cool to get to see the wildlife and how they're functioning, how they're working. Alrighty, well, let's jump into the news here because we had quite a bit of stuff that I want to kind of talk about today. Trump is imposing a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, and here's how that could cripple the Iranian regime. You're going to see a lot of effects going on. You're going to see a lot of people saying a lot of things about this whole thing, and it's happening today. I mean, it's happening very, very soon. Matter of fact, it's actually happening within the next 54 minutes. So while we're on air, this blockade's going into effect. Now, President Donald Trump announced on Sunday that the United States would be beginning a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, effectively sealing off the Iran's primary maritime artery, an action that will cripple the Iranian regime's capacity to resist the United States. I've in the back of my mind have always thought this had to be part of the initial plan, that Donald Trump gave time for our allies to show their true colors and not come in and want to do anything. Because they're all, you look at the United Kingdom, where we got a lot of people watching the show from over there. Boys, you've fallen. Like, we can't rely on our allies anymore, which makes you wonder, should we even be part of NATO? We'd be saving a lot of money if we weren't part of NATO. Let me tell you, we'd be saving a lot of moolah. And look, we kind of need that moolah right now because we got a lot of debt. So they're going to be effectively sealing off the strait. And he said this, quote, "The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not," President Trump stated. Isn't that a weird thing that you're just the Iranian regime is just so adamant about nuclear? It really is a head scratcher. Effective immediately, the United States Navy will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. Ooh, baby. The president characterized, let me get the chat up, I apologize. The president characterized Iran's maritime behavior as world extortion and warned that any vessel paying an illegal toll to Iran would be denied safe passage. Our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran, he added, noting that the U.S. Central Command will begin full enforcement on Monday, April 13th, again today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for me, that's in 53 minutes now. While the military rhetoric is sharp, a senior fellow at the Foundation of Defense of Democracies and former U.S. sanctions strategist warns that the economic consequences for Tehran will be absolute. I think his name's Maliki. Calculates that the blockade will inflict roughly 435 million in combined economic damage every single day. Ooh, boy. Totaling a staggering 13 billion per month. That's I don't know if that's a lot, but we're about to find out right now because it sounds like a lot to me. Yeah, it does it sound like a lot to you guys? Let me fix this really quick on my end. Hold on a second. Something didn't save, or Rumble's acting up again. Well, according to Maliki, over 90% of Iran's $109.7 billion in trade transit the Persian Gulf. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is a sore wound for them. Oh yeah, this is throwing a little bit of salt of what's already been going on. Oh, 90% of Iran's $110 billion in annual trade transits the Persian Gulf. With oil and gas, listen to this, accounting for 80% of government export earnings and 24% of the national GDP. Trump's going to say, I own you guys. I'm Daddy Trump now. The statistics provided by Malik paint a grim picture for Iran's energy infrastructure. This is actually really fascinating. I could be reading way too far into this. But remember how Trump goes, if you don't want to listen and have negotiations, I'm going to bomb your power plants and oil stations, all these things, right? And everyone's like, well, that's a war crime. And I guess allegedly it is. You know, it's kind of messed up because then the people suffer because they don't get their power and all these other things. Okay, well, this is like, you're not bombing their power plants, but it's really tough to run that power when we're in control of all the stuff going through, huh? Kind of like what we did with Cuba right now. I mean, Cuba is getting choked out. They are struggling. And you know what? They bent the knee and they came to the table. And now they're talking. Now they want a little something to do with us, huh? Now all of a sudden. Well, again, the statistics this guy provided is a grim picture of Iran's energy infrastructure. Karg Island, which has been bombed a couple times, which handles 92% of the country's crude exports, generates between 53 billion and 78 billion in annual revenue. Under the blockade, the 1.5 million barrels per day Iran was exporting, valued at 139 million daily at wartime prices, will cease immediately. So what's interesting is that if it's going to cease immediately, that's going to have a massive effect on the rest of the globe. And there was talks, I haven't looked this up, there was talks that now a lot of countries are starting to purchase oil from us. I don't know if that's a thing, but hey, Tarbox says it's not a war crime if it's used to help the military at all. Yeah, that is true, but there is like splitting hairs. I do know what you mean. Yeah, as long as it's military utilized, we're good. But could you make the case that, well, technically all energy is utilized, right? Because there's probably a factory in some area that's utilizing the energy from there to produce military weaponry or to make band-aids for these guys. Yeah, maybe. But you know, I think you get it. Good news, the people are willing to suffer in order to free and back their country. Okay. Well, there's news. By the way, that's what's being said in the chat by Fluttermare. Fluttermay? Sorry, it's really tiny. That's what she said. Furthermore, the petrochemical sector, which saw 19.7 billion in exports over a 9-month period, faces a daily loss of 54 million. Malik notes that Iran's non-oil experts, including minerals and metals, will lose another 79 million a day. I mean, man, this sounds rough. This sounds really... How long in the chat do you think they can go? If you say 5 seconds, get out of here, you sicko. The blockade targets the heart of Iranian logistics. And it looks like this port handles 53% of all cargo operations, while the Imam Khomeini handles 58% of basic imports. Wow, man, this is rough, boys. This is gonna be rough for them. So here's the X post. Maybe we'll retweet this. Repost. 1/10 the U.S. Navy blockade. Is this 1/10? Like, this is what frustrates you sometimes, because sometimes it's like part 1 of 10. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it is part 1 of 10. Okay, there we go. Yep. All right. I thought you were saying like 1/10 of our Navy. I was like, what? What are you talking about, man? So anywho, I was right. Hey, my suspicions were good. My head's working. A little tired, but my head's working. So you have the blockade. I actually want to go a little bit further in some of these numbers here. The internal impact is expected to be catastrophic, is what they're saying. Look at this. With food inflation hitting 105% in February. Is this happening now? Let me backtrack just a tiny bit here. The blockade targets the heart of Iranian logistics. You have this bypass operates at 70,000 barrels per day. So it keeps kind of saying the same thing. It's just different areas of this strait. The internal impact is expected to be catastrophic, with food inflation hitting 105% in February. Wow. And rice prices up 7-fold. The loss of 159 million in daily exports will accelerate a total currency collapse. The rial, is it real? Has already plummeted to 1.5 million per day, forcing the regime to issue a $10 million banknote worth a mere $7. I've been living under a rock on this one. I didn't think it was that bad, but man, they are feeling the pressure. Perhaps most critically, Malik points to a storage clock. Interesting. Okay, what's this? Iran has roughly 20 million barrels of spare onshore storage capacity. At current production levels, this will fill in just 13 days, so 2 weeks basically. Once full, Iran must shut in its wells. Maliki warns that this could cause water coning, permanently destroying 300 to 500,000 barrels per day of production capacity. This will result in a permanent loss of $9 billion to $15 billion in annual revenue, even if the blockade eventually ends. Look, you gave them a way out. You just had to negotiate. Which it seems like, if you go back to the article, all they had to do was just cave on nuclear talks. It is kind of odd because you have all your Arab friends around you. What are your Arab buddies are going to start nuking you? And if Israel wanted to do it, because what the people are saying online is that Israel allegedly has nuclear warheads. Okay, if they did, then why didn't they do it already? It's not the weapon, it's who has the weapon. And for some reason, the left doesn't understand that. It blows my mind. Really, you could do a little test with them. Just put like a knife on the table and say, hey, and start screaming at the knife. Knife, go do something bad. Go do something bad. It's not moving. That's because it's who has the weapon that will cause the harm with said weapon. Or protect you. One or the other. So anyways, that's going on with the Strait of Hormuz. That's starting in 45 minutes. We'll see what happens with that. I think they'll be stubborn, like every other country we've seen so far. And then what will they do? They'll bend the knee and kiss daddy's ring. That's what it's not an if. It is going to happen because it is a crippling thing. If what I'm reading is true, they are going to feel the pain. So we also have this article, what America learned from negotiations with Iran, really quickly. We're not going to spend too much time in this because I want to get to some other news. But the marathon negotiations between the United States and Iran and Pakistan didn't lead to a peace deal, but American leadership came away with one major conclusion. Iran is delusional about its standing in negotiations. Have I not been saying this about other countries for how long, folks? You've been with me for how long? And I've been saying this. That they're delusional. That their chest is all puffed out because they haven't got their ass kicked in a while. And so now they run their mouth, and I apologize to cuss, but it's true. Sorry, they got their booty kicked for a while. They haven't gotten one. And they don't remember what it's like. Vice President J.D. Vance will soon arrive back in Washington, and President Donald Trump has upped the ante, declaring a complete blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, which we just covered. Now, the negotiations helped the United States understand just how little Iran understood their situation. Iran failed to recognize the reality of the situation on the ground, the officials say, and has come to terms with the fact that its inability to ever have a nuclear weapon is a primary American objective. A U.S. official said that Vance entered the negotiations well aware that the United States and Iran had hardly interacted with one another for half a century. Vance went into the 21 hours of negotiations with plans to test the counterparties and assess what they believed their situation was. I'll tell you what. You could be living under a rock, man, and be like, yo, Big Daddy out there with a lot of boom booms. You ain't got nothing, man. But it totally backs up what we've been saying, where these people, these low IQ individuals that are running some of these countries, they don't have a clue. I mean, their head is so far up there, you know what, that there is no reality for them. They've been smelling the fumes of their own caca for so long that they can't see straight, nor think straight. After Vance's departure, Trump announced the United States would blockade the strait because Iran had refused to commit to abandoning its nuclear program. The president shared that he had been fully briefed by the vice president and said the United States Navy would begin its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and targeting vessels that attempt to enter or exit. Well, so I mean, it's not anything difficult. I don't think it's overly complicated. There's two things we saw. The Iranian regime is ran by a bunch of idiots, not the Iranian people. The regime is ran by a bunch of idiots that clearly don't know their ass from their mouth, and they can't wrap their head around the fact that we're not going to let them have nuclear weapons. or have anything nuclear. By the way, I was told by the left, wind and solar work great. You're out there in the desert. You got a lot of solar. You can do solar for energy. The left wants us to do that. They won't allow us to build nuclear power plants. So you know what? Start donating, lefties. Start donating to their little stockpile of all of this solar panels we could put. They got a lot of desert. Oh boy, they got a lot of sun. Let me tell you, it's hot. They got a lot of places you could put solar panels. So why are they not using it over there, guys? Let me know in the chat. I was told it's the next great thing since sliced bread. Yeah, you put a bunch of wind and solar up here, you can have another. You have so much power, you don't even know what to do with it. Bunch of knuckleheads over there. So anyways, that's what we're dealing with. Another thing, I got to share this with you guys. It's making its round on social media, by the way. And it's talking about Carl's Jr. And what you realize is just how stupid people are. I mean, it's worse than I thought. And not everybody's stupid, but people really don't understand how business works and how basic, I'm talking basic math. And when I'm talking basic, I mean just adding and a little bit of multiplying. That's it. That's as far as we're going here. We're not going to algebra. We're not going to calc. We're not going to statistics. We're doing basic stuff here, folks, and they can't get it. They can't grasp it. Dem endorsed $20 minimum wage for fast food workers, leads Carl's Jr. franchisee to go bankruptcy, to file bankruptcy. Here we go. A major Carl's Jr. franchise operator in California has filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, pointing to the state's minimum wage for fast food workers as a key driver of its financial troubles. When you hear key driver, I know you all know this, that doesn't mean it's the only driver, but it was the contributing one that led to the result of this individual that has basically 60 plus Carl's Jr.'s filing bankruptcy. And we'll get to the comments in just one moment. Oh, I will show it to you. It's always important to see what people out there in the ether have to say about certain things, just so you're not hearing from my mouth of like, oh, well, here's what people say. Why don't we just go see it for ourselves? Give me one moment, though, because I want to talk about this for a second. Friendly Franchisees Corporation, through a subsidiary, Sunger, said in a court filing, so it wasn't just some dude saying this, granted that is what a kind of court filing is, to be fair, filing that the wage increase implemented in 2024 materially increased operating expenses. What that means is, for those that maybe aren't familiar with that word, materiality, it's a term that business uses, but also we use it a lot in accounting, especially in auditing. Even if you're doing like a review or compilation of somebody's financials, we would go in and we would look at all this stuff. And if it's beyond a certain threshold, then it's material in that it actually affects your bottom line, or affects your P&L, or affects something in a great form. So that's what we have here. And so this is the deciding thing of, well, this had a material effect. This had a big effect, if we were to make it very plain and simple, of me being able to do business. The company operates 59 Carl's Jr. locations across the state, including 52 in Southern California and 7 in it's California, sorry. The lights, the way it shines. Despite generating what it described as substantial revenue, the business has struggled to stay profitable. Listen to this. This part's bonkers. In the first 3 months of the year, Sunger reported $20 million in net sales, averaging between $6 million and $7 million per month. Even with that type of money coming in, it recorded a $2 million net loss during that period, citing high ongoing operating costs. Dowrod, which wild name, also attributed declining performance to reduced marketing effectiveness and a lack of innovation at a franchisor level. So he's saying, hey, look, this isn't all the blame is not just on the price of increasing labor. It also had to do with the marketing effectiveness and then the franchise level of basically making innovative burgers, which, are variables that's going to affect business. He noted that increased competition in the quick service restaurant sector and effective turnover at the franchisor created additional operating challenges. Financial strain has led to missed payments of rent, royalties, and other obligations tied to franchise agreements. As a result, the company is now in default at several locations, putting those agreements at risk of termination and threatening its ability to continue operating those restaurants. The operations during the bankruptcy, listen to this, is important. Sunger is seeking to use cash collateral to fund essential expenses, including payroll, for approximately 1,000 employees. Okay. So just hold on to that 1,000 employees for a moment. Okay. I want you to hold on to that. So it's a $20 minimum wage, right? Okay. Just basic math. Now I need to go to TikTok. Un momento, please. I think it's TikTok or Instagram. I can't remember where I'm posting all this stuff anymore. And I did a video on Carl's Jr. Where are we at here? The collapse. Okay.
Did you
on TikTok, it has like 33,000 views. On Instagram, I think it's over 100,000 views, which is pretty wild. On Instagram, I only have like 2,000 followers or something. And some of our videos are 100,000, like 50 to 70,000. I don't know what's going on with these platforms sometimes. Look at this. So,
all right, I need you to. Did you see
it says
this?
here on the left, let me pause it. In-N-Out has been paying this amount for many years without issue. So they don't understand that In-N-Out is drastically different than Carl's Jr. But all I wrote was, I'm gonna let you figure that one out, bud. So they're talking about In-N-Out, or maybe the food sucks and the prices are too high. Why would the prices have to be so high? If you broke down what goes into the burger, maybe labor goes into the price of said burger. And so does the rent, utilities, all this other stuff. So the same people that want minimum wage to be higher are openly acknowledging that the prices of said products and services are too high without any thought that goes into it. Carl's Jr. charges $20 for a damn combo, and they ain't the only one. Here's the thing. These people have no idea what's going on. It's not just Carl's Jr. Wait till I get to another article. This is happening across all fast food industries. Carl's Jr. food is extremely gross and even more grossly overpriced. No one hardly goes there. The governor should have never mandated wages. It's a complete collapse of business. Correct. Carl's Jr. is way too expensive. It's overpriced. Was overpriced way before $20 per hour in inflation. Well, at least they were still afloat. Might have been overpriced, but at least they were still going and doing business. It's crazy. Look at this knucklehead. The corporate, just please listen to this. The corporation takes 95% of revenue from the franchisee. Their problem. The guy pulled it out of his tush. This guy's like one of those Tesla owners just screaming at cars going by. Unbelievable. So people are saying that it's not a living wage if you keep reading through these. You can't afford. Look at it. Do you live in California? You think people can live on less than $20 an hour in California? Yes. Yes, you can. You want to know how I know that? Because I've done it. I've done it. Multiple people were saying that. Oh, it's not enough money. Wait till you go to the Instagram comments. Oh, they should be paying more. They should be paying a living wage. Just all you have to do is take those 1,000 employees. Okay. And what's a living wage? Some people are saying $30, $40, not even a joke. Just increase that one-time payment. Let's just do math. Let's do it together. Here, I'll pull up my phone. This is how easy it is. Let's just pull up the phone. Let's be real stupid. Okay? For every one employee that's working, let's say full-time, I understand there's probably a lot of part-time employees, but let's just be really silly about it. There's, was it 2,080 hours in a month? Let's see, 40 hours a week times 4. Maybe that's a year. 160 a month for one employee, let's say working full time. And you're going to give them what? If they wanted $30, let's do a $5 raise. That's $800. That right there is $800,000 alone. That money starts creeping up pretty quick, doesn't it? Doesn't it? One employee for a week, it's $200. Okay, one employee. You got 1,000 of them for 1 week. $200,000. You times that by 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year. $10.4 million in labor. You increase it $3 an hour. Stop traffic. Wow. Wow. Just on labor alone, $10 million. It's just and by the way, that was basic. That was just like dealing with really quick numbers. Even if it was less than that, that's an insane price. You just ate up any profits you had. So to be able to do that, you would have to have $10.4 million of profit. And that's just breaking even. Where are you going to get $10.4 million from? These people don't think this way. Where are you going to get it from? Even if you think that person's worth $40 an hour to be flipping a burger that they're not even flipping anymore and to put food onto a plate, explain to me where you expect that person to get $10.4 million from. It's not just them, man. It's happening to farmer boys. Happening to others. Let me see if I can find it for you. Yep, here we go. I thought it was the CA Post, but look at this. Oh, well, Carl's just isn't working out. Oh, In-N-Out's able to do it. Blah, blah, blah. Really? Because Farmer Boys franchisees declare bankruptcy and blames cash advance financing. They're closing down. Look at Casual Burger Chain in California. There's a lot of chains that are struggling right now. But don't worry, it's just Carl's, because Carl's doesn't know how to manage their stuff. Yeah, it's just a one-off. And you got to love how they're only able to pick out like one fast food place. Well, how is In-N-Out able to do it? First of all, In-N-Out is like a name brand. I'm not saying Carl's Jr. isn't, but people go to In-N-Out way more. They can incur that type of cost. Man. To compare In-N-Out with Carl's Jr. or Farmer Boys or anything else, Arby's or whatever, it's a mind-blowing thing. Not even comparable. Well, they're fast food. They make burgers. They're totally comparable. It's a 1-to-1. All right. At that point, you just need to cut your... First of all, you don't even go that far into the conversation with them because they're not even able to do basic calculations to see that increase in labor completely eats up whatever profit said business has. They can't even do that. They can't even... Because how their brain works, and I know this for a fact because they say that the CEO makes $19 million a year. Maybe he should be paid less. Okay, nut jobs. Let's remove all $19 million that guy gets paid. Let's just remove his position altogether. If that dude's own franchises of 1,000 employees alone, just that guy that had less than 60 Carl's Jr.'s, one guy had 60 Carl's Jr.'s, you wanting to increase the price of labor almost was the amount that freaking CEO got paid. So let's just evaporate the guy's job altogether. Awesome. You did nothing. These are the same people. Walmart needs to pay their people more. Do a $1 increase across every employee and do that for the entire year of their working hours. And let me know how that one works out mathematically. Just really quick. Just pull out your calculator on your phone. Unbelievable. On. Honestly, there used to be a guy that did a breakout on this on Excel many years ago. And what he did was he actually showed people what the breakout was of him incurring the cost. I don't know if he's still around anymore. Let me see. This is going back like a long time ago. I just so happened to want to see if I could stumble upon it, but I doubt it. Yeah, I can't find it. Anywho, so you got that there. Let me see if I want to see if I can get this really quick. Excuse me, un momento, folks. One moment. See if we can find it. Let's see this. Let's see what this says.
The Golden Arch is sagging a little tonight. McDonald's reporting a drop in profits for its second quarter, which has the fast food giant rethinking its price points.
Yeah, and as Fox 5's Teresa Priolo shows us, some analysts say the Mickey D's slump could be an early recession indicator.
McDonald's franchise owners aren't supposed to talk about this. But one ex-owner just broke his silence about the profit margins that would make you question everything. The numbers he showed me were so different from what everyone assumes, I had to verify them twice. What's really happening behind those golden arches? You know what's funny? When most people think about McDonald's, they picture Ronald McDonald flipping burgers.
All right, it's an 18-minute video. He's going to go over the operating costs. I'm sure that the corporation's taken a large cut. But the whole purpose of looking at this, the profit margins aren't that big. And so when you increase the labor, you're increasing it doesn't have to be labor. If you increase the price of rent, you know what I mean? And you distribute that over, hourly, then you do it, daily, then you do it weekly, monthly, yearly. All that stuff shows you that those profit margins get eaten up really quickly. And it's not rocket science. It's not in this insane level of math you need to know. It's just silly. I actually like In-N-Out's Famous Star. It's pricey, but I always said, I felt this way years ago, was that In-N-Out is good because obviously it tastes amazing, but I also don't feel sick or ill after eating it. Whereas if I have McDonald's, I kind of feel sick and ill, right? You feel like you're just eating a bunch of processed and weird food. And then when I had Carl's, though, I always liked going to Carl's because it felt like it was a burger that I wasn't getting sick off of. It felt like something like kind of like homemade in a way, but it was quick and just convenient. It just tasted healthier, I guess, is what I'm looking for. But I never had issues with it. There's ones you can get there that are like, okay, this is a little much, blah, blah, blah. Anywho, alrighty, we're gonna get into a lot of random news now here. Those were kind of the two main things I wanted to talk about today was the Strait of Hormuz, and then also you're kind of seeing the effects of minimum wage. And it just ain't Carl's Jr., it's all across the state here in California. $20 minimum wage, folks. Remember how I shared with you? There's a Panda Express in Southern California. It's not just one, it's many locations. You can make $52,000 a year wiping down tables. $52,000 a year wiping down tables. Folks, that's not far off from a lot of starting positions where you have to actually have a very high intelligence. And that's 52G starting, by the way. If you, and I say that because you don't even have to have half a brain cell of what we used to compete with the current generation. And I'm not beating up the current generation, but the math does show that you guys, the Gen Z, is the first generation ever to actually decline or regress in terms of intelligence. It's just insane. And by the way, you're not supposed to be living off minimum wage. But here we are. Speaking of things, here we are. Do you guys see this video? I don't know if it's real or not. I came across it over the weekend. USAID. Y'all remember that one with Marco Rubio and others cutting USAID? Well, look at this. USAID food being sold in a street market. Oh boy. As we were passing through a Haitian street market in the Dominican Republic, we noticed a bag of rice from USAID. USAID has provided hundreds of millions of dollars in aid to Haiti. We know that this food is not used to feed the hungry, but instead sold for profit at the expense of the US taxpayer. I'll tell you what, I don't mean to be rude, but this lady ain't going hungry. Neither is this guy. Neither is this person. The arms on this person is fatty. By the way, if you're on audio, other than the guy in the way, way back that's actually pushing the wheelbarrow, everybody is obese in this video. I don't, and I'm not being rude. Literally every person that we're seeing right now is obese, considered obese. Now, people would think, oh, she's definitely right. This is an easy indicator of obese. It doesn't take much for you to be classified actually as obese, by the way, but because you could look fit and still be considered obese for your height. I do want to be fair. This could have just been an old bag and she's just utilizing the bag over again. So I always like to play devil's advocate and say, okay, take it with a grain of salt. this bag could have, it is a U.S. aid bag. It 100% is. But maybe that she just is reusing the bags over and over again to, like, kind of like we reuse bowls over again. Might just be a cheap way of selling stuff. Now, you guys are like, Brad, you're too nice, blah, 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 all these other things. I get it. I'm just trying to give an example of what this could be like. So we're not just like, oh my God, this lady's stealing taxpayer money, blah, blah, blah.
¿A cuánto? ¿Eso qué es? Sí, ¿a cuánto? 100 pesos la libra.
Got alcohol in the back? Dang. Okay. Well, anyways, this made its rounds on the weekend. People weren't happy. This is only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, frauds happen. We're getting ripped off left and right. It's so wild to me. I was thinking about this morning when I was making my cup of coffee. I just think people enjoy getting ripped off. Do you guys get that vibe too in the chat? That people just must enjoy it. I never understand. I just can't wrap my head around it. Why people are so open to just wanting to bend over and take it from behind. Maybe I just have too much faith in people. Not faith, but like, it's just really tough for me to think people are that dumb. And I can't get there. And I don't think I ever will. I just have too much faith in people. Sorry, I just put on my watch. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see what this says. U.S. aid rice, straight from American taxpayer, only 100 pesos per pound, fresh off the boat. Your tax dollars at work. That's my tax dollars you're selling. Yeah, pretty much. She reminds me, what's that lady that used to do the late night, like psychic stuff? Cleo, was that her name? The lady that had like the fake, she ended up being fake later on. Come in, get your tail, boy. I'm going to tell you about your life, man. That lady, y'all remember what I'm talking about. I used to call in. It was like $10 for like 2 seconds, you know? Parents get the phone bill. What the hell is this? Day's wages goes to like one stupid reading to tell you that you're, you know, you got to go brush your teeth. By the way, if you're enjoying what you're seeing and hearing, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We go over all the major news you need to know about. So that was the aid one. Let's see what else we have here. Oh yeah, there's more drug boats being struck. This happened yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. It was over the weekend. On the 11th, U.S. Southern Command directed lethal strikes on 2 vessels along known narco trafficking paths, deleting 5 alleged narco terrorists linked to designated terrorist organizations and leaving 1 survivor rescued by the Coast Guard. Look, I don't know how you survived this strike. Check this out. Sorry, I gotta mute it, but there's a big boom boom. Yeah. It's always interesting to me that we get the 480p pixelated version. You know that these guys are watching this in like 8K. Like you can see the hairs of these guys when you're watching it. I never understood that. Anybody from the military like that like had access to these types of videos? Can you explain to me why we get the pixelated version that's like all fuzzy? Because we know that this is like 4K in real life. Like the actual video that the Department of Defense has is 4K. It makes sense why we need to block out everything. I don't mind all that. Is it we're supposed to leave that impression that our technology is just not that good? I mean, look, I don't know why, because allegedly that guy that we found, the pilot over there in Iran, we found him by his heartbeat. Did you guys see that? It's actually hard to believe. Pilot found by heartbeat. Let me see if I could find this really quick. Check this out really fast. So if your heart is beating, we'll find you. There's the ghost murmur technology is what they're calling it. CIA used what's called ghost murmur tool to find missing U.S. airmen in Iran. Have you guys heard this? This I almost fell over my chair. Secret ghost murmur tracked pilot's heartbeat signal across southern Iran desert. Allegedly, they found this this guy's heartbeat from like 40 miles away, and the AI was able to decipher that it was his heartbeat. Now, I might be reading too far into this. So, ghost murmur technology. I think it was on the Rogan podcast. Let's see if we could pull that up really fast. Yeah, I think this is it here. Hold on.
Has admitted that the way the CIA has admitted that the way they found the pilot was because of his heart rate.
AI from far away. They
Like 40 miles, I think.
40 miles. They find this guy's fucking heartbeat. He's hiding in some kind of crevice. And then they're able to go and extract him, hearing heartbeats. And then the heartbeat says a lot about a person. Are they sleeping? You can learn so much from a heartbeat.
What sick fuck invented this? The CIA.
If true, that's wild. The technology we have, I don't even think we really know the type of technology that we actually have. I mean, yes, normies out here in the world. If people can't do basic math, I don't think there's any concept of all this stuff. None at all. Okay, let's get into some more news here, folks. Let me see what we got. A lot, man. There's just a lot of what's, you know, like TMZ type stuff used to be, or not TMZ. You know, when you're in the grocery store and you come up to the line to pay for your groceries and you look to the left and the right and there's those magazines that's all about celebrity gossip. That's basically what I'm viewing here online. It's just a bunch of celebrity gossip. Do we touch on it every once in a while? Yeah, but if we do, it's more of a societal type of question that we propose at the end. It's not necessarily for the drama. We use the drama at the front end of the videos to then get to the real meat of the argument at the end, to kind of use it to boost the video, but just not into that type of stuff. So if you are, I apologize. I'm just not one of those people that I can care less about celebrity gossip. Here's what Trump said last night. And this was late last night that it happened. And matter of fact, we'll play the video in just one moment. We'll let the ad run here, but it's about Pope Leo. Pope Leo says he's unafraid of the Trump admin after president calls him terrible on foreign policy. I don't think you need to be afraid. That is a weird piece of language right there. Now, somebody can say, well, don't you think the way Trump's rhetoric was talking about him was a little weird? Yeah, I would say so. It's a little odd thing to say about the Pope. But, I mean, both sides can be wrong. Now, Pope Leo was talking about peace and stuff like that. So we'll take a moment to kind of dive into that in just 1 second. They're running an ad right now on the site.
Attack Pope Leo on Truth Social.
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. No, I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
So you have that there. Let's get into the article and the substance of it. Pope Leo fired back after President Donald Trump attacked him on social media, saying his calls for peace are rooted in the gospel and not just treated as a political argument with the White House. And I think there is truth to that, definitely. Well, I have no fear of the Trump administration. That is a very... I just don't know why you would use the word fear. Does that make sense? It's an odd way to say something. the message of the church, my message, the message of the gospel, blessed on the peacemakers, I do not look at my role as being political, a politician. I think in a way it still is kind of political, even though you don't want it to be, you know, because you're making the decisions based off the scriptures. And those decisions, unfortunately, can be seen as political, even when they might not be like political in nature. So I think just kind of you are without necessarily being it, I suppose. Trump has criticized the Pope's position on Sunday in a scathing rebuke on social media, Truth Social to be specific. Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible foreign policy. Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great Pope, not a politician. It's hurting him very badly, and more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church. The Pope responded Monday, taking a shot at Trump's Truth Social. It's ironic, the name of the site itself, Say No More, despite claiming, I will not enter into debate. It's like, it's weird that he's kind of teetering on, well, I'm not going to enter the debate, but I'm going to go ahead and slap you across the head really quick by basically saying that it's ironic, the name of the site itself, basically saying that Trump's a big liar is what he did. But don't worry, I don't want to throw any shade at you. It's very like a passive aggressive, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I'm not trying to beat up the Pope. I'm merely not picking actually a side on this. If you notice, if I was to pick a side, I am not, because I don't agree with Trump calling it the Pope, and I don't agree with the Pope coming out and trying to be passive aggressive by saying, oh, well, he's a liar, but it's so funny that he's posting on Truth Social as a liar and the name says itself. You know, the things that I say are certainly not meant to attack as attacks on anyone. Isn't that, I hate to say it, but that's a little contradictory of what just happened up here, is it not? It's something that I've noticed a lot of people starting to use on social media, and it is kind of that passive aggressive type of phraseology that the left used to use as a tactic, but I've noticed the right uses it as a tactic nowadays. And I give you a prime example because you guys do this in the chat, and we've talked about it in the past. You know, when I talk about IDS or JDS, like Israeli derangement syndrome that some people have, or Jewish derangement syndrome, where it's like this extremely small population of people on the planet are like the cause of everybody's issues, according to some people on the right, which I think is so silly. It's just the mindset of it is just really, like, I'm not there. I'm not even close to being there. I think it's odd. But I bring that up because what those same people do that have IDS or JDS is they will go into certain people's podcasts that are maybe Jewish and they'll write Christ is king, right? It's like and is that true? Yes. But it's not used in the way that is coming from the heart in a positive way. It's more or less kind of I don't want to say poking the bear. It's being passive aggressive in a way. It's very hard to describe, but I think you guys are able to pick up on what I'm putting down. Is it's utilized as a way to like instigate almost like an aggressor statement, like being aggressive, even though it's not an aggressive statement, but you understand what I'm talking about. And it's kind of like a way to trigger somebody or like rile them up. If you know what I'm talking about. It's not, here we go. I know what it is. It's not being said in good faith. And then people play dumb. They'll go, oh, well, you know, how's it not being said? And aren't you a Christian? Isn't Christ king? Yeah, it is. Like it is. Christ is king, but it can be used in good faith. It depends on when and how you're using it, though, just like anything else. And I think you guys are understanding what I'm talking about here. So anyways, it's kind of the same idea that it's very passive aggressive. The things that I say are certainly not meant as attacks on anyone. He also said, speaking in English, adding, I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. Yeah, I think there's truth to that too, what Pope Leo is talking about here. I will continue to speak out loudly against war, looking to promote peace. Yeah, but the thing is that, you know what I'd like you to promote is, going against illegal immigration. And I thought somebody really said something sharp and piercing last night on me doing a video on this. They said, well, where was Pope Leo's words when some of these countries are, rapey and doing all these terrible things to women and little girls? And I was like, I don't have an answer to that. You know, with all these illegal immigrants that have come and raped and deleted a bunch of people in America, the Catholic Church allows illegal immigration, from my understanding. At least that's what I was told by a bunch of Catholics, that they actually allow illegal immigration to take place. That you can't be you can't be illegal in another country. So it's a little odd. And this is the problem when you kind of inject yourself into politics as like a leader, like somebody like the Pope, is that obviously I don't think he's for all those terrible things happening. And I do firmly believe that he is for peace. But that's the nature of when you get involved in it, is people start pointing out, well, why didn't you speak up about that? Why didn't you speak up about that heinous thing? And then you get boxed into a corner. Prompting dialogue at multilateral relationships among the states to look for just solutions to problems. Too many people are suffering in the world today, Leo added. Too many innocent people are being deleted. And I think someone has to stand up and say there's a better way. Well, you kind of have a big voice. What would the better way be? Do we just give Iran full fettered access to nuclear enrichment programs to build a nuclear warhead? Do we just wait till they get one and then we go, okay, well, we'll figure it out then? I'm not being a smart aleck. It's asking questions. The Pope's stance against Trump's peace efforts in the Middle East came after the president's Sunday night Air Force on the tarmac, which we saw. So they're having a spat with each other, which is kind of not really something I like to see. One, it's dramatic. Two, you don't want to see the president and the Pope kind of throwing jabs at one another. It's very high school-esque, I suppose. That's something that you'd want to see kind of on back channels. That's always taken place. People have spats. That's something you give a phone call over, and you kind of rip each other over the phone. You don't need to do it out in public. And this is one of those things where I just wish Trump would kind of like whoop a little bit, just a little bit. But he's not running again, so I mean, maybe he's just like, I don't give a crap. Also, he's older. That's how old people are. They're just kind of like, I don't care. Deal with what I say, is what it is. So. And that's just who Trump is. Trump's going to say whatever's on his mind. And I like that. I don't think I would like that with another president on either side, but I just really, that's what I was looking for in a president back all the way in 2015. And I like that part of him. Now, do I want that to go forward? No, because I would like a little bit of more, I think, coming back to where we were in terms of rhetoric from the president. It does kind of, in my mind, diminish and tarnish the office of the presidency in a way. But people think different, especially like the rural people. They're spitting still into the can, they're pissing on their driveway type of people. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like they're just rough people. They're not bad. They're good. They're great Americans. They're great people. It's just they're a little bit more rough around the edges. And I think Trump, and that's a lot of America, by the way, speaks to those people. And the reason why I say a lot of America is you look at the coastal areas, those are mostly the lefties. There's a lot of Republicans on the coastal areas, but middle America is way different than us here on the coast, man. We're a little bougie. We're a little divas out here compared to you guys. All right, so let's go to the chat a little bit. Brad, Catholic charities expressly funded and aided and abetted all of the importation of illegals. Fascinating. It from foreign lands. Facilitating it from foreign lands, I believe, and at the border, and helped subsidize them from U.S. taxpayer money. Yeah, look, and I'm not saying there isn't blame to be had here. I'm saying that would be, I think we're on the same page here, Craig. I think that's something that should have been spoken up about. But granted, that was, I believe, the other Pope, to be fair, and Pope Leo is kind of the new guy on the block. We'll see what he does. But also, too, you never know. It's kind of like, this idea that there's like these like shadow governments that are in place, even with the president. And it's like, they're the ones that are really pulling the strings, and the president and other people are really just the puppets because they're just a revolving door. They're going to be in and out in 4 years or 8 years or however many. And it makes you wonder if the Pope's kind of the same scenario where you think you're going to make big change, but maybe there's some like big shadow government that's actually really running kind of I'm gonna put this in quotes, the office of the Pope. Now that's more conspiratorial, but it does make you wonder, because a lot of people will say all these things and then they get in the office. It's like, okay, well, what happened here? I don't know. Let's see what else we have here. Mizzy says, it blows my mind how people are supportive of ideas that are aimed to destroy them. I don't think they're aware of it, though. That's the odd thing to me. I'm more of cautious in terms of, if I think something's going to go south, in my mind, and you're wrong, you could be wrong, but you almost run like a risk analysis of like, if I go this route, is this going to lead to more prosperity or less prosperity? Is it going to lead to more liberties or less liberties? But like you said, it almost seems like people are always willing to kind of go down that route of limiting their freedoms and liberties, not just upon themselves, but also their fellow countrymen. And we talked a lot about this with laws as well that are put in place. And yeah, I'm going a little bit too more philosophical and stuff than I truly like doing here on the show. But the more laws that you put in place, it does hinder people's liberties and freedoms to move around a free market or a capitalistic society, because now you're more or less restricting people. Now, some people go, well, aren't laws put in place for bad behavior? Yes, but that's why you need a moral and religious society, so that you wouldn't need those laws in the first place, because people are going to act within bounds of their religion, within the sense of where that morality is coming from. Now, do you need religion for morality? I truthfully think that you do. I think that almost all morality has come from religion in some way, shape, or form, because you've already grown up in that milieu, in that social environment of which religion already takes place. And I'll even go a step further. This is going way beyond. I think that Adam and Eve, that story is more of a metaphorical story of creation. I don't think Adam and Eve was a literal creation of how God made things. I think it's more of a metaphorical talking point, because it happened before whoever wrote the darn thing. We don't know who wrote Genesis. A lot of people claim that maybe it was Moses or somebody else. We don't know. But it obviously took place before whoever wrote it, because it was so long said before. Now, if you look at that, though, and the reason why I say I think it's metaphorical, if you look at the way God created things, it actually goes against what he created. So you could read the first page of Genesis, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you look at actually the days and what he created, it doesn't actually make sense. And this isn't even conspiratorial. Just look at when the sun was allegedly made on one day, but then the sun, moon, and stars were made on another day. If the sun, moon, and stars were made on towards the latter half of it, well, then what was that light that was at the beginning? Just something. I want you to ponder that. It's not a thing to figure out now, but it's very, in my mind, it's very metaphorical. I don't even remember where I was going with that now, but anywho. Oh, what's going on, Miguel? I think you do, at the very least, a belief on God. I think people possess what their decisions do. Yeah, what was I? I was going to make a point there. I kind of went off on a little random tangent. But dog, it let them have uranium for reactors, but they have to be surveyed by third parties. Yeah, but isn't the uranium that they enriched beyond what they would need for the reactors? By the way, Israel doesn't allow people to inspect their nuclear arsenal. Yeah, but I think I have more faith in Israel than I do Iran. Israel's not supporting terrorism around the world like Iran is. Iran's like, you're basically stoked to have Iran have uranium to the left. By the way, it's not. I think some of the cases they were like 60 plus. Yeah, Tarbox has it, and now they got 60% enriched uranium that's a weapons grade. So think about that. Yeah, why do you need 60%? It would be different if Iran was like friendly and wanting to work with the rest of the world and not a leading sponsor of terrorism. And it was a place that people want to travel for leisure, and it's a nice place to be. And they're not blowing up our merchant vessels. They're not funding the Houthis and Hezbollah and all these other terrorist organizations. Then there's a conversation to be had there. I'm sorry, I don't see the Israelis funding terrorist activities across the world. How many Israelis do you see blowing themselves up with vests, boys? I'm sorry, I don't see a lot of them. How many Israelis do you see blowing up just allied merchant vessels around the oceans? I don't see a lot of them. I'm sorry. Now, maybe you can go back to all these conspiratorial stuff that I don't know much about of the USS Liberty. Like the fact that you have to pinpoint like something decades ago about what the Israelis may or may not have done. That, to me, that's just like reaching. Like, do I want to go back and look into all the things that the United States has done that's pretty messed up? Do you want to talk about the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, where we basically were flying in Hueys and feeding these people for a long time, and they would run out to our Huey choppers, and we would be giving them food and candy and all this stuff. And then one day that we flew in, the boys landed, and all these little kids and these women were running up to get American food from these Hueys. And you know what we did? We opened up the machine guns on them. It's called the My Lai massacre. Yeah, we mowed them over, and then we lit their buildings on fire, and allegedly some of the guys raped the women. I could do that all day too. I could pinpoint a time where we had atrocities. You know, we've done it. Now, in totality, America's a great place. But the IDS, Israeli derangement syndrome, it just runs deep. Like, oh, you just don't see it, man. You just don't see what I see. It's like, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. And I've tried. I listen to it. It's not hard to find somebody on the right, an influencer out there peddling, anti-Israeli or anti-Jewish stuff or anti-Semitism. I'm not saying everybody does it. Just because somebody talks negatively about Israel doesn't mean it's anti-Semitism. Even the Jews say the exact same thing. Just people like to twist things and promote it. And for some reason right now is that era, that time where people just really want to go against Jews. And I'm sorry, I don't get it. I've tried to understand it. I've definitely spent time listening to people, and it's still sitting back. As much as I've listened to it, I'm like, I just don't understand the derangement syndrome. And it's the same thing with us. I have always compared it to you guys. If we were to listen to what somebody is talking about on the left, about how they're always blaming Trump for everything, like they're blaming Trump for the minimum wage hike in California. That's TDS. Well, Trump's economy sucks, so we have to. Things are too expensive. We got to increase wages. How are we going to live because of Trump and all the policies putting through? It's like, are you listening to yourself? I'm sure that you can correlate it back to Trump in some way, shape, or form, but it's a little bit of a stretch in my mind. I think there's other factors that go before we could start talking about Trump, and it's the same way about Israel. I think there's a lot of things we can correlate back to Israel, but I think there's a lot of things that probably come up before we start talking about that. It's very odd. Does anybody else feel the same way? Am I the only one here? Is it one of those things where my audience is just like, yeah, I don't get it, man. Maybe. We've been that way before here. That's okay. Jericho, did you know the Semitism includes Muslims as well? Bro, the IDF guns down children for fun. See, it's like statements like that I think is just wild. Wild. Has it happened? I'm sure, but talk about a blanket statement. IDF guns down children for fun. The thing is, like, you actually believe that. That's just crazy to me. Makes sense now. I'm not a fan of the sand people. I don't trust anyone. It's who poses the main psyop. Israel poses the main threat. It's just crazy, man. They're trying to make greater Israel and dominate the world. Iran is fighting for... Man, bet. Well, that's sad, man. Will, my hope is that maybe you already do this, because Will's a smart guy. Wait, I think BLT is Will. I think so. If not... Wait, BLT is Will, right? 416? Will, that's you, right? If it is Will, my hope is that as your former teacher, and this is advice that I think I even gave you in the classroom and other people, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I think the best thing you can do is read as much as you possibly can about both sides. That's what I think. And I think you should read more. And maybe your thinking will change. Now, has maybe Israel done those things in the same way the United States has? That's why I brought up the My Lai massacre. It's almost like I knew you would say something like that, right? It's almost like I knew you would say something about that with people. That's why I brought up the My Lai massacre of mowing over a bunch of people. But just because atrocities have happened in the past, to put that as like that's a normal thing and that happens all the time and they're doing it all on a daily basis and it's like one of their main forms of ideology is wild to me. Whereas if you look at the terrorists that the Iranian regime is funding, it actually is an ideology to go blow themselves up. It actually is a thing for them to go harm innocent people. They get paid, they get not just paid to do it, but it's also part of their extremist faith. Sorry, but there's a reason why Christians and Jews get along really well. There's a reason why Muslims don't. I mean, the Muslims that aren't doing the extreme and radical stuff get along with people well too, but I think you get what I'm saying. Anyways, alrighty. Well, let's check to make sure that we're not missing any breaking news. The blockade has allegedly gone into effect. This is breaking news right now. It allegedly has started. U.S. opposes naval blockade against Iran. The U.S. began enforcing a blockade on Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz, effective 8 minutes ago. Trump ordered the blockade after peace talks with Tehran collapsed. This weekend, a map of U.S. vessels in the region showed at least 17 ships deployed as of Monday morning. Now, I did see an article late last night about just kind of the military power or might that you would need to pull something like this off. The experts were saying that you would need multiple aircraft carriers. You would need a lot of, warships and stuff like that to do it. I don't know if that's true. I don't, my knowledge is limited on all that, maybe, but he's doing it here. So we'll see if he's actually blockading it. I don't know how big this all is and if it's enough ships, but you got the Abraham Lincoln right there, man. And you have the USS Tripoli. And I'm trying to see if there's another. I thought there was 3 carrier strike groups out there. I only see 2. By the way, and I'm also not a big fan of this type of image. Do you know what I mean? I would rather. Oh, so that's not even the Tripoli's not even an aircraft carrier. It's an amphibious assault ship. Interesting. Okay. So it looks like we only have 1 carrier out there, huh? Thought we had more. I'm not a big fan of showing where all our ships are. I don't really like that. Not that they satellites. I mean, they could find them, I suppose, but it's just why make it easier? Anywho, that's today's news. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with the blockade. We'll do a short form video when I come home today later. Usually I get those up around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That seems to be our time that people enjoy the most. And by the way, just because we agree in the chat, that's okay. Life goes on. We move forward. We still get along. I hope all of you have a lovely day. I hope your week starts off well. Make sure you read your scriptures. Make sure you read your Bibles. And we got the blockade happening. You got Carl's Jr. and other franchises with the $20 minimum wage collapsing. You also have just really psycho people out there harassing Savannah Hernandez. That's one we didn't get to, but that's a terrible thing. And just a lot of stuff happening out there in the world. And sometimes when you get into the scriptures, it makes life a little bit better. So, and that's what we want for one another. Life just to be better. We're all here on this rock for a limited amount of time. And just like the Pope wants. We want peace. And that's not me being a smart aleck. That's what we all want. So with that being said, pray for this country, pray for Donald Trump, pray for yourselves and your family, pray for people in the chat, folks. Just read your scriptures, spend some time with the Lord and Savior. And yes, Christ is King. We already know that. We don't need to throw it in people's faces. Appreciate you guys. God bless.